question I have is, again, I have 3 wonderful children. My oldest boy is 9, my youngest is 2, and my daughter is 6. And we struggle at times, my oldest son and I, because we both seem to be men of decision and men of wanting things our own way, so to speak. And we seem to have these power struggles that exist between the two of us when things I would presume to be things that are predictably something he would choose to do one way are chosen by him to be done another. So we find ourselves in power struggles about predictable things, no more complicated than doing homework. I mean, things around the house, cleaning up, being a team player, and so on. I find it very frustrating.
And you're involved in what he's doing because?
I'm trying at that moment to parent or provide some guidance or mentoring or involvement.
From a vibration of believing that he has the ability to guide himself, or from a position of believing that he does not have the ability to guide himself?
From the position of feeling that he's not choosing to guide himself.
And so,
I've been somewhat conditioned.
So from that position, what vibration do you activate within him? One of connection, one of confidence, or one of disconnection and not confidence?
Disconnection. And it never seems to be something that I think will turn out that way, because at the beginning of the...
We can give you something really simple, that as you play with this, because you're going to have this wonderful interactive dance with him for a while. So play with this thought just for a week. It's great fun. Remember that your dominant desire as you interact with him, no matter what he is doing or not doing, is to be a catalyst that connects him to his source. Which means if you have observed him, even though he has endless positive traits, and you are fixated upon one that you deem not positive, so that you have activated within yourself and therefore activated within him one that is not in sync with who he is, stop in the middle of it and realize the power of your influence. Ask yourself, next time you get in one of those headlocks, so to speak, what have I activated within myself about him, and how's it playing out? And then if you can, before you move forward with any word or action, do your very best to activate some other aspect of him within you, and watch how quickly it shifts. Now, often what people say to us under these conditions are, but Abraham, he activated it in me. In other words, it was his behavior that I observed that caused this activation to begin with. And we say, we don't question that. But it is most likely that if you will try just a little bit, you will be the one that will deliberately activate something else. And if you will let your dominant intention be to activate connecting things in him, which means you've got to activate connecting things within you, you'll be amazed at the way you will begin to dance together. Somebody who's not connected to who they are is hard to play with. Even when you are connected and they're not, there's not much cooperation that takes place, you see. And so if you will say, as a parent, the parenting that I am wanting to achieve is being a catalyst to connect him with who he is, everything will go so much easier, because when he's connected to who he is, he's wiser. When he's connected to who he is, he's in balance. He's intuitive. He's sensitive. He's alert. He's just wiser, you see.
And when you're embroiled in that almost...
Then write it out. And once you hit the ground from 40,000 feet, then you can make a new decision. In other words, when you're embroiled in it, there's not much that you can do.
Right.
In other words,
so how do you create a reconnection in him? You have to like stop the issue and go to another issue to have him reconnect aside from what you're involved in?
We would do it in separate settings. In other words, we would make lists of his positive aspects, and we would activate his positive aspects within us, so much so that when someone like Abraham says, we're talking about your 9-year-old son, is he cooperative or uncooperative? You would say cooperative. Let's play with that just a little bit here. When you think about this one, would you You're going to enjoy this. Is he a freedom seeker or someone who complies?
Freedom seeker.
And from the depths of your being, which would you choose for him?
Freedom seeker.
Yes. So he is a freedom seeker. When I think about my 9-year-old, he is willing to do whatever I ask. He would rather follow his own path.
Follow his own path.
And from the depths of your being, which would you prefer?
Depends on what time of the night it is and what I want to have to get done.
In other words, when you step back and get the broader view, who do you want him to be? Do you want him to be someone who looks to you every time, or do you want him to be someone who goes his own way, has his own results, gets his own responses, figures out what works for him, and makes his life work?
No, I want him to be able to choose by choice the things that will empower him to be more successful in all the areas. And so then we get focused on a task-driven thing, which, you know, is the minutia of it all, as opposed to where it's coming from.
But at the heart
and I'm
of
not empowering him from where it's coming from, because
give us an example.
Antagonistic about getting
Yes.
something done.
Yes.
It's time to do homework. I don't want to do any homework right now. Say, well, in 10 minutes, let's do homework. 10 minutes come, doesn't want to do any homework. Say, but, you know, we had this agreement, 10 minutes, let's just do a half an hour focused homework, and then you can go about doing whatever it is you're going to do.
All right, now let's just stop for a little bit. And we want to ask you, relative to the subject of your son and his homework, what is the dominant vibration within you? He does his homework easily. Homework is a grind.
Homework's a grind.
So from that dominant vibration of homework being a grind, you are offering the suggestion, and what do you think the probability of activating homework is easy to do is?
0.
And so, can you feel that there would be value in you shifting what's your dominant vibration before you even have the discussion with him?
Absolutely, and it goes like... I'm looking for a, you know...
So let's apply this process that we offered earlier, where you ask yourself a series of questions to which you know the answer, and in which the answer feels good to you as you achieve it. So we'll begin from the place of where we already are. My 9-year-old eagerly accomplishes his tasks efficiently so that he can get on with other things he would like to do. Or my son procrastinates the things that really matters until he gets himself into a crisis situation. Which is the dominant vibration?
The second of the two.
So that wasn't a very good question to ask, because it didn't lead you to where we wanted to lead you. So we'll go after it again. In other words, we're doing for you what we want you to do for yourself and for him. So here's the next question. When I think about all that I know about my son, and I project him into his future life experience, I anticipate success or failure.
Success.
No question. When I watch my son and all of his personality traits, he is more delightful or more troubling.
More delightful.
No question. When I think about his ability to apply himself, I notice that when he sits down and focuses, he can make it happen. Or when he sits down to focus, he can't make it happen.
Definitely makes it happen. When it's his choice, it's no discussion.
Ooh, we're really on to something big here. When I think about my son, I would like to guide him in the timing of all of his choices, or I would like him to choose the timing of his choices.
Somewhere in between.
If I left it to my son, he would never learn anything. If I left it to my son, he would find his way.
He would find his way.
And what we think is that when you hammer him, that the implication that is pulsing within you is, you're not smart enough to make the right decision, so I'm going to have to make it for you.
Right.
Which is the exact opposite of what you really feel, of what you really believe, and about what you want to project to him.
Yeah, it seems that I'm focusing on what I don't want to happen and more of that shows up?
Well, it's because it's active in you. You influence it in him, and then the two of you just have that experience together. Now, we know that your life would go better if he would just do what you ask.
No doubt about that.
It would. Your life always goes better when people do what you ask. But it's not likely that you can get very many of them to play with you in that way. And so we want to say to you, your life will go better when you find the most positive aspects and make those positive aspects the dominant vibration that you're offering. So, play this game for just a little while. As you think about the brilliance of this one, and he is, and you think about the potential of this one, which is wonderful, and you think about the personality of this one, which is delightful, and you think about the moment of him not doing his homework, which feels awful. You can feel the discord in that. So as you begin practicing the thoughts that just make your heart sing, not with any ulterior motive, but just in a sort of virtual reality sense, what will begin to happen is you will activate, by your own deliberate intent, a vibration within you that sends a message to your son that goes like this. I think you are wonderful and your life is going to be great. I think you are wonderful and I love having you in my life. In other words, you begin to activate a vibration that we can feel is in there somewhere. In other words, we feel even that it's the dominant vibration. It's just not the most active vibration right now. And so, instead of using the word dominant vibration, let's begin using the word, what is the most often activated vibration? Now, it turns out that it's really the same thing, except that your desire to feel good about him and the way you're actually feeling are sometimes not the same thing. So, how you really want to feel about him, we want to call the dominant vibration, while the way you really are feeling about him when he's not willing to do his homework is the most activated vibration. And we want you to let him show you that you can achieve a vibration and make it the activated vibration within you no matter what he's doing. And once you do that, you will activate within him something that will be more in harmony with who you all are. We don't think that he doesn't want to do his homework. We just think that he wants to choose the timing of it. Now, it's almost like this. Pretend that you've just eaten a meal, and then you go visit someone who thought you were coming to eat with them. And even though the timing's all off for you, you're still expected to sit down and eat this meal. So you attempt it, but your heart's really not in it because you don't have any real hunger. But this person has put so much thought into this meal. They know it's good for you. They've worked all day on it. They really want you to eat it. And so you attempt it, even though your heart's really not in it. And then, after you've sort of forced yourself, you're at this place of real discomfort, then they bring out more food still. And you say, well, under some conditions, I really would have liked to have had this experience with you. It's just the timing is sort of off. Now, like all analogies, this one is not a perfect one, but there are cycles within everyone's experience. Jerry and Esther, as they watch their chickens, there is a time of day that they like to have their dirt bath. And there's a time of day that they like to go sit on the nest. And there's a time of day that they like to go out and pick for all of the little bugs in the grass. And there's a time of day that they like to get on to the roost. And there's a time of day that they like to just go lay in the shade and not do anything. In other words, they have these rhythms. And all of you, very much like these chickens, have these rhythms. There are times when you want to focus upon specific subjects. There are times when you sort of want to just kick back. And your son, all of you, develop these rhythms. You discover this as your sleep patterns are different. And as you come into a society where you want to socialize one another so that you can perform with one another, sometimes you get crossways of some of these rhythms. And so what we are really wanting you to begin to do is to give, just for a week, it will free you. It is our promise. Give your son the benefit of the doubt on the rhythms of his own life. Say to him, I want you to do your homework because I have all of these futuristic plans for your joyful success. And I know you want to do your homework because you have all of this too. I think, say to him, that what we're butting heads about is the timing of all of this. I worry that if you don't do it in this specific time, that it won't get done. And maybe that's not a valid worry. And so I'm going to release you to the timing. You know what needs to be done. You know how long it takes you to do it.